Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us, Dieline. I'm Celeste from Well-Fed. Welcome to my studio. You've got me, you've got our creative partner, Lou, and we're here to tell you about who we are, what we do, why we do it, who our clients are, why they stressed us out, and what forced us to start Droplet. First, Well-Fed is the name of our studio. We are a global female-led brand studio outpost in Los Angeles, Australia, and New Zealand. It's been really fun working on these, timelines all over the world, and it's amazing to have a global business. I'm going to tell you about myself, and then I'll open it up for Lou to tell you about her background. But basically, I started Well-Fed in 2015, and this is me. I like to say I am a full-time boss and part-time shipping department for the companies that we start. And our street cred. So I graduated from USC. I'm a self-taught designer, developer, and that's actually what I did after school. I graduated in 2009. It was the recession, and all the work I could get was making websites. And a lot of those websites were really boring. But I started my first brand in 2011, my first DTC brand, an organic skincare line, and that went really well until my parents were like, you got to go to med school. And I almost went to med school, but I failed calculus, and thank God, because that's how we ended up here. I basically, decided to go down the road of really pursuing my creative passions. And when my parents were like, but what if you starve? I was like, well, no, I'm going to be Well-Fed, and that's how we decided on the name of the studio. My background professionally, since that, I went to and worked at Disney Consumer Products and Digital Brand Architects, doing a lot of product development and also joint venture development. And so kind of have this background that's half, the creative stuff and half the business strategy stuff. And it's been really amazing to see how much has changed, even in the last, 6 or 7 years as we've been doing this. I was a food tour guide, and that's why all these pictures here, you can see this is like my past life. It's actually those restaurants that I worked with. I worked with over 100 restaurants in the Los Angeles area. It's those restaurants that actually started me on this path, and that's why a lot of our early clients were in the hospitality space, and now we've really just kind of branched out into lots of different industries, and especially in the startup world. And with no further ado, here is Lou.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lou. I'm from New Zealand. As you can tell, my accent's a little bit different.
It's cute.
I'm currently residing in Perth, which is the western side of Australia. And I've been working with Celeste with Well-Fed for the last, it's like almost been about 3 years, which is crazy because me and Celeste have actually never met in person. This is all done over the magic of the internet, which is pretty crazy. But it's been an awesome time, and now we partner the studio together, me as a creative partner and a design director. So that's been awesome. A little bit about me. Kia ora, I'm Kiwi, as I just said. I see myself as like a bit of a creative slashy, as Puno would say. So not only am I a creative director, but I do a lot of different other creative outlets. And I'm a photographer, a videographer, everything you could think of in the creative space, even run my own podcast.
Yeah, we like to call ourselves Swiss Army knives.
Yeah, pretty much. A little bit about me. So I went to Massey Design School, which is a 4-year visual communications design degree with honours. And that school, I think, is in the top 11 of best design schools in the Asia Pacific area, or top 5. Top 5, I think it is. Partnered at an agency before the age of 30, which was always my goal. I was a designer at different studios for a while and was just not really, it wasn't kind of like serving that Swiss Army side of me very well. I wanted to do more roles and more things and not just be a designer, I guess. So I was, putting my seeds out to the universe saying, hey, this is where I want to go, and then ended up meeting Celeste, so that's awesome. I've been nominated and won design awards in New Zealand and Australia, and also the Dieline Awards, which is cool. And then, just a few things from back in the day. Was a winner of an Adobe Creative Jam Challenge. I was a co-host of Creative Mornings, which is the global breakfast kind of meetup that they do worldwide. So that was back in Wellington when I lived in New Zealand. And went from a junior design grad back in, I don't even know when, to a creative director in less than 5 years.
Yeah, and that kind of sets you up for how we do our business. Basically, we call ourselves an intuitive design studio. I think that a lot of design is really pretty, but is it intuitive? And that's something that Lou and I have really explored in the businesses and concepts that we've come up with in the last 3 years that we've been working together. And we like to say that we're smart with a soul. And so, that's led us to a lot of great work and a lot of work in different areas. And so here's these are the clients that, we really love representing, that we've worked with VC funds. We've worked with big hospitality groups, some of the most beautiful hotels in the world, all over the world, which is really amazing. So here's some examples of that work. We did Bond, which is it's a club in the Bahamas at the SLS. It's a beautiful club. And we've done, Wanderlust Creamery. It's ice cream inspired by travel. And this is really our proof of concept. It was the first brand that we did, kind of brand in a box, where we created the concept, came up with everything from the name to did all of the PR, the launch of social media. And this has really led to where we are today. And I can tell you more about that later. And then, like I said, we're worldwide. And so that was the Bahamas, Los Angeles, and Sweet Talk is down under with Lou.
Yeah, this is in New Zealand. It's Mariska. She's a baker that wanted to basically create an accessible way for people to get really good quality cakes. So she made these little cake jars. You can see them on the left-hand side. So this was a full brand suite, full brand identity, from packaging and illustration, everything in between.
Yeah, and this one I love. We'll start this one someday.
Yeah, this is we like to come up with in-house brand ideas because we're always looking for new ways that we can be our own clients and make our own products and kind of bring them out to people into the world. And this is one for a gin that we came up with quite a while back, but we love it and we're still trying to build those ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the goal. We have all these creative ideas, and it kind of is just. It was at first it's like, oh, it's just a creative outlet to kind of dream of things, and just we love just doing this mock-ups and stuff like that, and then eventually we started a company. So we have one more we want to show you. But yeah, just because we know this is the packaging and design space, this is also one from New Zealand. If you want to talk about number 8 purée.
Yep. So this is a honey, bee pollen and candle brand from New Zealand. Another full brand suite with photography, videography, and social media and everything in between. We really like to take brands and just kind of go full speed with them, and get as many touch points as we can and get as many mediums as we can.
Yeah, and so that's kind of how we get to the freelancer's dilemma. So I don't know, I get the feeling that a lot of people who watch this, you are studios yourselves, designers, freelancers, you might be working with companies, and we just had this question, or like, why do some clients just stress you the F out? Like, we had all this great work, but we were dealing with a lot of stress, and that's actually why we started a self-care brand. We kind of had to build in taking care of ourselves. And also we had to think about it a lot more, especially as we started doing more high profile projects, working with, higher stakes. And that led us to adaptogens. And the thing is, adaptogens are wonderful. They really worked. And it's funny because both Lou and I have an adaptogen ritual that has really helped us personally. And it was something that we did separately from each other and had no idea that we were both like, this was something that we both believe in. And the problem with them was that I just couldn't do how they tasted. And they kind of taste like dirt. And that's the problem with, when it's reishi mushroom and you put it in your water, you end up just drinking mushroom soup. We can't have this idea where it's like, God, I just wish someone would make a pretty drink that makes adaptogens taste good so I can eat them all the time. And I maybe spent a couple of weeks thinking that, and then I was like, oh my God, I'm that person. Like it's us. We have to make this, and that's kind of something that we want to remind everybody. Like sometimes when you think of these things, it's like, oh, I wish somebody would make this. When you are one of us, when you're on the creative side, when you do what we do for our clients, we were like, oh my God, this is absolutely something that we can do. And so Droplet was born. And Droplet is a sparkling self-care beverage. We have 3 signature flavors. They're all inspired by a feeling, pretty bright, pretty balanced, and pretty happy. They're made with whole fruit juices and organic adaptogens and aromatherapeutic superfoods. And what's really lovely about them is that we really took the time, since this is actually one of our in-house brands, we took the time to figure out how to make them from the bottom up and the inside out. But we're going to tell you a little bit more about the process, the brand, the creative, and basically, like we said, big idea was great tasting adaptogen drinks for people like us, stressed out women. And that's actually so. And also, as you look at all this photography, this is all stuff we've done ourselves. This picture was done by our friend Kim, but most of it is, the photography was Lou or me or a couple of other female-owned studios that we work with, but a lot of it is the 2 of us. And so, but the challenge when we first thought about this was how we would be able to create a drink ASAP, because we knew that the market was getting crowded. We knew that we had to be first to market, and that we had really, like if we didn't do it, somebody else would. And impressing upon the group. So my co-founders are Adrienne. She actually was also the founder of Wanderlust Creamery. I'd known her for a while, and she's an incredible food scientist and has this amazing palate. And so I called her and I was like, hey, I am taking these things called adaptogens. And she's like, oh my God, me too. And I was like, don't you think they taste funny? And she's like, yes. And she came over and I was like, let's come up with a drink. And, just in one sitting, we had 17 different formulas. And those 3 are from that first sitting that we created. And so it took us about a couple months actually to get from pretty much just the concept and the name all the way to having product, or at least having formula product, and just all the rest of the time that we waited was to get on the line at a manufacturing facility. But definitely, our goal always was to speak to the modern woman and provide her an oasis, no matter how that was, whether it was in the drink or in the packaging. And Lou, you can talk more about how that process went. It was pretty quick because we were just on the same page about it.
Yeah, right from the beginning, it was a very same page sort of process, and a very intuitive process, I like to think the Droplet brand was. It was, when we started with the first name, we had a logo, I guess, within the first round of presentations, but just because it just felt right. It felt right, and the color palette felt right, and it just was about pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and making sure that the packaging reflected, the flavors, and the packaging reflected the feelings that we wanted to evoke within the brand. And just making that all come together was just a really beautiful process. And because we were so invested in it, for only at our own health, but invested in the problem of, women's health and health in general, about solving that problem. So there was, a lot of passion and a lot of fire beneath us to really get it right. So you can see in this slide, there's a little bit of cutouts and things like that from the beginning of what, we first looked at. So you can kind of see here over on the right, we started looking at like organic shapes and women's bodies and things like that, and drew a lot of inspiration from like tarot cards and just really vibrant illustrations, I guess.
Right. And the other thing too is that you'll notice this is all of it says Dewdrop. And that was our original name. You can see the story elsewhere. It was a little bit of drums, but what Dewdrop meant to us and what Droplet means to us. So me and Adrienne we're both Filipino. And so basically in Filipino folklore, there's this goddess, the goddess of health, the Likamata, and she actually, she was just, they said her body was covered in eyes, and at night she would cry, and those tears became the dewdrops, and she'd leave those tears so that we could heal ourselves. And you would, if you drank the dewdrops, you would, be cured of whatever ailment. And that folklore really spoke to us, and that's kind of what we were going for here with Droplet. But yeah, so we were originally Dewdrop, we're now Droplet. That was a big switch for us, but still allowed us, because we knew who we were speaking to and we knew what we wanted to present and represent. It wasn't so difficult for us to come up with a new logo or a new name, because we thought within those guidelines very quickly. But yeah, so the pictures we're showing are just how our packaging looks. This is how our first campaign went. It was super cute, and wanted to show you more about the details. Yeah, so this is Lou's world.
Yeah, so we came across Barbara just through the magic of Pinterest, actually. And when I was starting to kind of put the packaging together, I knew I wanted to use some sort of like organic, natural, illustrations of women's bodies. And when I went to Pinterest, the first one I found was Barbara, and I was like, we got to get her on this. We got to get her working. For us, we got to get that artwork on the cans.
I remember asking, I was like, is she alive? Because sometimes you get, you get inspired by artwork, and that art is so old that I was like, is she alive? Is she working? Can we meet her? And she totally was. It was really honestly, I think sometimes things happen for a reason. It was serendipitous that she, could do this. And what we love about the artwork is that each one is inspired by the flavors that we used. So, so these are our three main photos. We call them, these are our girls. These are our droplets. And so the drink has yuzu and ginger. She's represented. But yeah, you can talk more about the artwork and why we chose this.
Totally. So yeah, we wanted the illustrations to really kind of evoke the feeling of the drink. Basically, you want to see the inside from the outside, and that was the idea of putting these beautiful illustrations all over the cans. And you can kind of that two-part kind of design process is you want to see it from far away, and you want to pick it up because you want to know what it's about. Really steering away from the super minimalistic designs that have kind of been overdone a lot. We kind of wanted to stand out on the shelf, and do that with the use of Barbara's illustrations. So it was really exciting that she was available to work for us. This illustration here was one that she'd already done, and we said, hey, can you make a couple more? And we really wanted to focus around this idea of kind of harnessing the moon's essence and the moon's power. So each illustration has a little element of a moon within it, whether she's holding it, whether it's in the background. The moon is in every single illustration. And the colors, we started with a couple, kind of a very pared back color palette, but wanted to explore more, obviously, because we wanted each can to look very different and very kind of show that flavor through the colors and through the illustrations.
Yeah, and the other part about it too is we wanted it to be anti-minimalist, where everything on the shelf, especially in functional beverage, it's really just, it's either a logo, a gradient on a can, and I just kind of felt that was really, the entire point of branding something is to make it stand out. And though it was trendy, we were really just wanting to do something that was artwork on, that you could take home. So that's really why we did the artwork the way we did. And then we changed the logo. And so this is, this has a little bit of that story. We changed the logo from Dewdrop to Droplet, and I'm really glad we did. And, and doing this, we just wanted, it's funny because, in the 6 months between starting Dewdrop and then having to switch it to Droplet, we got to know our brand a lot better because she had lived a little bit more. She had been interacted with a little bit more. And so we were feeling that she needed to be, and it's funny, we give these little personalities, but that the logo needed to be a little bit more well-rounded, a little bit more soft in that way, and have, movement and not be so just not just land. It has to feel like it has fluidity to it. And so, this one has a little droplet at the end, which was always actually part of the design, but also has a little bit of like, just a little bit of like, not all the way correct. It's not perfect. But it just flows, and we love that. And Lou, she created this the icon, and it's funny when like we say how passionate we are about this. Lou and I got into a fight over how many eyelashes there should be on this, and and it's because like everything speaks for us. There is symbolism to everything. And Lou, if you want to talk about, we call her the icon.
Yeah, I mean, it was just about kind of creating an icon that was, I guess, had the element of being wise. Wise beyond her years is kind of why we wanted to start, that's where we started for the icon. It was, how can we represent that and include the drop from the tears of the goddess, and just create something that was cute and it was kind of relatable and that we could use on its own and removed from the logo. So there's a nice connection between the drop, but we wanted something cute and we could use like on the bottom of the can. We can kind of use it anywhere. It doesn't have to be positioned with the logo, and that was the idea behind the icon. It's an identifier that doesn't need to be sitting with the icon.
Yeah, and it's funny. So, like I said, there was also our naming system, and our naming system, and also I guess the way we talk and speak. Our naming system was because we felt like we needed goals. And we needed to share those goals. And on a regular day, I think the average person wants to look good and also feel a certain way. And so we were like, how can we create our first line and have something that anchors the looking good part, and then also is like a superlative for the feeling part. So pretty isn't just how you look. It could amplify how bright you are. Pretty bright, pretty balanced, pretty happy. And those names actually, they correspond to the intentions, as well as what we like. I guess you would say what like the results or the benefits of taking or of each adaptogen that we feature in each flavor. So not only, I think also needs to be said, we didn't just create the packaging, we also created the formulas. That's something we totally do because like I said, we have that background in food and beverage. It was so interesting because as we were building the flavors out, we were like, oh my God, this tastes amazing. So we were thinking like pretty happy. When are you the happiest? We're like, oh, on vacation. When we're on vacation, it's like, okay, what do you do when you're on vacation? It's like, oh, I drink a tropical drink. I love it when it has a little bit of cacao. And so we're like, all right, let's put that in the drink. And we'd already made the flavors. We're like, okay, I love passion fruit. Let's put passion fruit with cacao and rhodiola and see how that goes. And it was incredible. It's one of our most complex flavors. And as we were looking into it, and finding and learning about rhodiola itself, the ingredient, we found out that rhodiola is traditionally used as a way to help people not feel sad in Siberian culture. And same thing for passion fruit. It was, when you are not feeling upbeat and you're kind of depressed, in South American culture, they're like, eat passion fruit every day, you'll be happy. And so it's kind of amazing how those things, I guess, intuitively we put those things together. Even with cacao, we know that even just the scent of cacao actually raises your spirits and changes your mood. And that's how we came up with the names. Yeah, and that's how we came up with the names as well. And we wanted to make sure that the packaging also represented all of those feelings in one place. Yeah, and the moon features very heavily, and so does astrology. These two slides, the moon and astrology really feature in our products. On the bottom of each can, you'll see the moment during which we canned the product, moon in Taurus for this one. The moon in particular is because we, this is something that we've actually already always been interested in. And the moon is, traditionally it's the ruler of liquid. It's the ruler of women, emotions, self-care, nurturing. And that's kind of why it ended up here. We really do feel it ruled by the moon as, and especially as women, monthlies. That's actually like a women's, that's something that we have to deal with all the time. And, with the way that, like we said, with the way that, we've built this drink, I know that we've definitely made it for a feminine, we made a feminine product, even though all of this, the drink, the flavors, all of that, anyone can drink it. It's not really just like only good for women. But we just knew that in the market, there wasn't really, it's easy to talk to men, and a lot of people will tell you that you have to, speak to men. Women will buy it anyway, or that you have to speak to both sides. And I just kind of, especially in adaptogens and functional beverages, it was either that, where it was like caps lock, like men, performance, protein, all of that. Or it was like this woman that I'm not really like connected to, even though it does seem like this is a little woo woo. Or it was just really that, ethereal girl who was really alternative, and she already lived this life. She already knew about all these things. And so that's something that really came about and became really a big part of our brand. So these are my co-founders. That's Adrian, there's me, and then that's Talia, who keeps these things together and keeps this show on the road. But yeah, so that's also something, one of the brand pillars that we have is this feminine force that we lead with. And I think that leads to self-care and authenticity. And that's something that the people who interact with our brands, they're really excited about it. And yeah, so we believe that everything speaks. And so I wrote a lot of the copy, so did Lou, but every single word was written with intention. We know what it means, I guess. Not only do we know what it means, but we know how it lands, I guess, to the people that are reading it. We wanted to be that encouraging voice. We wanted to tell them about something we thought might change their life without making them feel like they were being talked down to. We wanted to be that friend. Our girl Paige, actually recently, she was like, oh, it's like when you go to brunch and your girl's telling you this advice, or, she's giving you guidance, but it's fun. You wanted to hear about it. Like that's the voice that we wanted to create with this. And it's funny because, I guess it is our own voices, right? It is how we talk to each other. But yeah, so self-care in every sip is our tagline. And that's something that really resonates because and especially for us, when we started this, we were super stressed out. And we were trying to find self-care any way we could. And even in the smallest way, even in a single droplet, I would have taken it. And that's how we ended up here with self-care in every sip.
And it was very much kind of set at our core. It was like, we want to build this brand. What does self-care look like? If self-care was a brand, what would it look like? So that's, we like to start with kind of building out core principles and core ideas to build something that's really, really unique within a brand. And then, it just ended up being a really awesome tagline. It works perfectly.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, is we rarely use caps. Most everything is in lowercase. I just, it was kind of a stylistic thing. We just felt like caps are yelling at us all the time. And if you were, if you were trying to talk to somebody and soothe them, I felt like it was in lowercase voice. And I think it must also be said that both Lou and I are synesthetes. We have synesthesia, which is kind of feeling thinking or color thinking, I guess, is the original description and definition of that. But also being on the same page in that sense helps us have a deeper understanding of how all of this stuff feels intuitively, I guess. And so like that, literally us saying self-care in every sip needs to be in lowercase, because why would a self-care brand be using, caps? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't feel relaxing. No. That's how we ended up here. Yeah. And then another big feature about our company is that it's sustainable, and we're creative about how sustainable we get. Each one of these boxes is basically all of our packaging is made locally within 50 miles of where we produce. And that's amazing. We love that we can cut down on our, our carbon emissions that way, and also on waste. What's also cool is because, like I said, we were doing this for our clients. Because we did this for our clients, we've been able to really do this well for ourselves. And on each one, I thought it would be fun to have a die line on the die line. I'm not sure how many of these you guys have done with this, but on every single box, it'll show you, it'll give you our little manifesto about why we do what we do, how we do it sustainably, what we've done to make these changes. You can take the inner lining out of the box and use it over. You can, take the tops off the cans and turn them into planners, because there's a lot of people who do actually. They send us pictures of how they've reused their cans. That's something that we thought would really resonate, because that's authentic to us. We're not just trying to be sustainable because it's cool, or that because like we feel like people are going to hate us if we're not. It just also fits in with the nurturing, the self-care, and all of that. It wouldn't make sense for us to not care. So that's where we're at, and we've learned a lot, and so we wanted to share some major keys to our brand. We thought, that these next few things, kind of just to wrap it up, is really what we've learned about from this process, and also how we've created other brands in the past. Brand is the difference between 1x and 10x ROI. Guy Raz recently, he said to me that he doesn't believe that there is such a thing as an oversaturated marketplace. There are brands that resonate and there are brands that don't. And so, I completely agree. And if we are actually a very small company. Droplet is a 2-person day-to-day team, but with what we've done in the last 2 years during a pandemic, we literally launched the day of lockdowns here in Los Angeles. We've seen so much growth, and I know for a fact that it wouldn't have happened that way if we didn't care this much about how our brand, lands, how people interact with it, where they find it. So that's really what's been helping us get that 10x. And Lou is really great at this, is branding from the inside out. It's funny, she barely even just got to taste the flavors, because Australia was including packages throughout the entire pandemic. Oh God, it took us forever to get her some flavors. But yeah, I'm going to speak on this.
No, yeah, I only got to try the flavors like less than 6 months ago. But they're amazing. They're everything that I could have even, just actually beyond. It's so hard to find a drink that is like not super sweet and not super like over the top. So Droplet is just like, it's honestly really a brand that's been built from the inside out. Like what you see is kind of like what you get in the taste. It's just beautiful. So yeah, brand from the inside out. We like to tackle brands from a core and build playgrounds around them. That's basically what we want. What the end goal is to build a brand that has depth and it's not surface. So it's about building from, those core values, the core ideas, the core principles, and building it outwards and creating this like beautiful world that we can play in and work within, is how we tackle our brands. And Droplet is a really awesome example.
Another key: expertise and genuine interest are the only shortcuts. So, for us, when we look back at what we did at the beginning, we really had a fully fleshed out brand and concept within weeks. And that really is because we already had expertise and an interest in the space. And what really helped us in that, we're not here trying to chase a trend. We are actually building what we believe people want to see, because we're also customers in this world, and so that kind of helped us cut through the crap, basically, in a sense where it's like, okay, well, we know what we want to see here, and it wasn't like we had to research too hard about how we could make something really great, and so those are the only shortcuts into a really good brand. It's a person who's really interested. Like for me, I could never build a sports brand. Like I am not good at sports. I can't tell you about it. And so you can't just, it's really hard to innovate when you don't have that interest and that depth of knowledge that you've been like culling over your entire life, basically. Like for us, we really loved like mythology. We love astrology, and that's just who we are. And so when we were building it to the brand, it's authentic, and that's the only shortcut to authenticity, is you actually have to care about it. Right. And so that's another key. And then, yeah, this one, brand like everyone's an influencer. And it's really interesting. There's nano influencers, there's micro influencers. There are, and there are the ones who have millions of followers. Everyone's an influencer now. I can't tell you how many times we get people who, bought the product and they may have 8 followers, but they'll open it up and do packaging and like an unboxing as if they were that 1 million person influencer. And that is worth so much to us. And so the entire experience is like that, whether you're buying a sampler kit or you're getting a case or you're interacting with us online. Every single person we interact with is treated with the same level of just respect, I guess, and interest as if we were meeting an influencer. There's not really a difference. And so we want to make that each part of your experience with our brand something that you feel special about. So that I think is one of the biggest keys, especially as we brand for more digital and bringing digital into the tangible world. But yeah, if there are any questions, we're going to wrap up and open it for questioning soon. But yeah, so if you wanted to catch us you can catch me on Instagram. You can catch Droplet, Drink Droplet at Celeste Perez. Lou is Lou Wright, and we can drop those here in the chat. And you can check out our website, wellfed.co,
which will be new soon.
Yeah,
we're updating it.
Yes, it's so funny. It's like we brand for everybody else and we always forget about ourselves. We've had the same website for 6 years. And so we're really proud to show you our new website. It only took us 3 years to put together. But yeah, so thank you all, and it was so great to chat.
Thank you, everybody.
Said it live. Hey guys. I think we're on air right now, so I just want to say, Celeste and Lou, thank you so much for joining us. That was a really, really awesome presentation. We definitely have some questions that are coming in from everyone. But the first one I kind of want to ask you about is just because, self-care is just such a pretty big core of the brand, right? And I wanted to know, what kind of design mistakes do you see right now in the branding and packaging space for products that sort of have wellness at their core?
Ooh, that is such a good question. I know for me, when I'm looking at the shelves, a lot of self-care brands tend to do what I said, the caps lock marketing, where they're yelling at you as in a way where it's like, feel better, do this now, get to this. And actually, self-care is a receptive process. It's actually hey, am I sitting still and resting? So that's one. It's not necessarily a mistake. It's just a different approach. And I think when we talk about marketing and copy and words that you use to get people to buy things, it's actually kind of opposite and contradictory to what self-care actually is, right? Where it's like we don't want to be putting more energy out there when it seems like or it feels like we've already expended so much. So how do we preserve that? And so for us, it's a lot of, with our brand in particular and the way we talk, it's just a lot of, hey, this is a gentle nudge. We know you already know what you need here. So why don't you go with your intuition and choose which flavor speaks to you versus it's this one, do this now. So it's benefit language. I think that is probably where most people kind of slip up.
Lauren asks, what are the most important traits that have contributed to your success?
We're crazy.
that helps, actually. Crazy is good.
No, when I think about it, Lou, it's funny. So at the beginning of this, I don't even remember when we filmed this. It's been a long time, and New Zealand actually just opened their borders, and I was able to go just a couple weeks ago. Lou and I finally met in person after 3.5 years working together. I know, it's crazy. I was like skiing in the middle of winter in New Zealand, and it's like 90 degrees, 100 degrees here in LA. But what was really amazing is to meet someone and be on the same page, and like of all the different things, like the car rides, when you talk to your friend on a road trip, like, what are you talking about? I talk so much, I lost my voice. And I think like one of those traits, I think, is that we are, one, we're on the same page, and two, when we dream big, and we believe that we can create that stuff. We believe that it's possible. And it's just a matter of figuring out how. It doesn't matter how long it'll take. It'll happen in eventually, and it's an eventuality, basically. So I would say for me, it's really that we are courageous enough to learn about something and courageous enough to start something. I think that's the beginning.
And we create what we want to see. Like what we want to see, we create. If it's not there, we want to make it happen, basically.
Yeah, it's making it real, I think, is the key. Like a lot of people will have ideas, and we're the kind of people who are like, so what if we did this tomorrow? And so it does sound crazy, but when you believe in yourself and you've seen yourself do things before, like when we were younger designers, younger creators, it was a lot scarier, and you would think, oh no, what if this never happens or this doesn't work? But now that we are the designers we are, we've seen this, we've seen what we've done for others. It's like whenever we have an idea now, could we do this for ourselves again? Could we, could we just, it's not ever, I don't think that'll work. Let's see.
Yeah. And I think people get scared of creating lofty goals, where we don't be scared to make big goals for yourself.
Yeah. The closer you get, the closer you get to the lofty goal, it's like, well, it was a lofty goal to begin with. How crazy is that now you're talking to all these people, and, every step is such a huge step. So go for it.
Dan wants to know, were you a part of helping to shape the pricing for the product? And if so, how did you match the price with the positioning of the product in the market?
Oh, yeah. That's actually part of the branding process for us. I mean, this is different because it is an in-house brand. Like, I am the founder of both Well-Fed and Droplet. And, Droplet was basically me being like, let's take out my 401k and see what we can do with this. And so definitely pricing was something that we had a hand in. It's not like we handed it to a finance team and was like, okay, what should this cost? So for us at Droplet, when we do build brands, because this is what we're not just building identities, we're not just building graphics, we do build businesses. So a lot of that comes with data. A lot of that comes with the financial information. And we did comparative studies on what's out there in the market. We looked at certain shelves, like, certain stores that we wanted to be at. And we were like, okay, what's the going rate for a drink that has X? And what's the going rate for a drink that has, adaptogens? What is it for a drink with protein? And based off of that, we priced competitively, but also in a way that made sure that we covered our bases. I mean, it is an expensive drink in the grand scheme of what, of the drink market. You can get 99-cent, 16-ounce can of iced tea. And you can also get like a $12 bottle of plain water. It just really depends on where you're shopping. And so for us, right now, we're kind of straddling that specialty premium, but also available at mass. And that prices us right in the sweet spot of, depending on where you live, for $59 to about $6.59. And again, it depends. In New Zealand, it's like $8. And I was like, you guys, that's insane. But, it's the market.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let's wrap up the Q&A. Bill's audio, also his video stopped working. Is there any other questions or anything that you guys want to end with?
Oh my gosh. I mean, well, if we want to continue this conversation, you can hit us up on our social media. We're on Instagram. Those links are here in the resources section, at Celeste Perez, at Drink Droplet, at _Lou _Wright _ yeah. And you can also find us on Twitter. I think there are a lot of great questions here, and I would love to answer them for all of you. And I'm thank you so much for watching all the way through.
Really appreciate it. And we'll be posting this on the website as well, so everyone can watch it on demand.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time today. Thank you, Celeste and Lou, most importantly, and we really appreciate you sharing this with us. Have a great day, everyone. Take care.
Pleasure. Bye.